Hello guys, I decided to do a quick video on stamping greenery around an image, and somebody requested it. So this this one is a Coronado Island stamp, but I'm going to use the same things that I used in this one. In this scene, I'm just using a different main image. And it is from Stampin' Up! Wilderness Awaits. This little fox in the grass. And I'm gonna make it a similar scene to this one, just with the sky and grass, and some Makin a scene images and Stampscapes images. So I'm gonna let you know as I go along which stamps I'm going to use, and I will get started here. First I use, this is like my favorite green to use, this Hero Arts Ombre. It's got 3 different sets of green in it, light to dark, and I find that it's good for layering, and it's a really good pad. You can use any greens though, I mean, whatever you have on hand. I usually start by stamping in black. This time I'm using Memento black dye ink. And I'm going to start kind of lightly because I can always build to make it darker. But if I go too far at first, then it's hard to go backwards. So I've got black on here, and I'm just going to build around this guy. With Stampscapes. I think this is tall grass. And then I'll use a couple others. Actually, I can use this one. Switch. Just to kind of give myself an idea of where I want the grasses to be, I start with something light. And I will say it's always helpful to have a masked image stamped out. This I kind of forgot to do, so I'm just going to show you. I use masking paper, and cut it out to make a mask for the main image, which is what I did with the tiger as well. Doesn't have to be perfect, just something pretty close, that's all. I'm ignoring the grasses because that'll be covered anyway. The only thing I don't want it to get into is the main body, of the fox. So I cut just inside the lines a little bit. So I've got a mask for my fox. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to stamp into the fox image, and when I go to color it, color around it, I'll use it then too. So I'm gonna switch to the I know what this is, but for some reason I can't remember. Anyway, it's Stampscapes. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Anyway, I will. It'll come to me. I will make a list of all the stamps I used in this video and put it in the details. So look there, because I'm not very good with names, and the name of this one escapes me at the moment. So I love it because it looks like a field grass. And it's very detailed. I mean, the little detail at the top is what I love about it. And it's great for using with behind images like this. And again, I'm still using black because the initial layers I want to be black. And I'm not doing it completely, you know, I'm putting it a little bit at an angle. I don't like doing things straightforward most of the time. It doesn't make a very interesting scene for it to be straight across. It's okay if you're just starting, though. It takes quite a bit of practice to start getting out of that habit. So with the greenery, the foreground, I'm going to use this stamp from Makin a Scene. It's called Clumps of Grass, and there's two of them. This is one of them. And I'm going to start using the green. And I'm going to start with the, you know, just the lighter colors first. Then I build this in. I'll remove my mask for a minute because I want to get some greenery in front of the fox. Okay, I'm going to use some of the darker parts in the foreground here. And just part of the reason why I do black is because it still leaves some of that detail that I want. Once it gets so saturated with green, the black doesn't show up the same way. So, which is why I start with a light layer of black. And then for the background, I will use this one again from Stampscapes. And I should probably put back my mask. Don't want to stamp into my image. And this is really useful for just, you know, trying to get some of that greenery in there. I don't want it to be really that solid, but I'm looking for somewhat solid. You can always go above it where the black is as well. It kind of gives this extra layer of grasses behind, or maybe in the light source. So it's not perfect. It doesn't need to really be in line with the black. You can take as far as you want. Right now I'm just Apparently getting ink where I wasn't supposed to, but it's okay. Yeah, you see that? It's okay. I'm going to fix it. Alrighty. Alright, so build up the grasses. And then when I come back, since I've let this bottom part dry for a second, I'm gonna come back with Makin a scene, Clumps of Grass, and use black over top of the green. And I love this grass because it's really great foreground grass. It's thick enough and bold enough that it covers as much as I want it to, so I love it. And it helps me control how far I want to go with it too. It's a very unique stamp. The corners I'm just going to keep stamping until it's as dark as I wanted it to be. I want it to be almost black to really frame this guy in. And then, and as you see, there's still some white areas, and that's okay. That's not hard to fix if you want to. I just use a Q-tip and dab it in some of the green and get rid of that shadow around my subject. Easier way to control the ink in small spaces and any white areas that I want to fill in. I don't have to fill them all in, but some of the ones around the fox I want to. If it stays a little too light, you can always use some dark or some black on top to bring it down to the color that it needs to be. This little guy, I'm going to use some brushes right there. Just looked a little bright. Okay. Oh, I'm out of the picture a little bit. Okay. So now for the fox itself, I want to use some Tombow markers. This is kind of a brownish orange. I'm probably going to start with a lighter orange first. Number 933 and 947. And foxes have kind of a white muzzle, so what I'm going to do is start on his nose and color that in first. These cute little ears. Because the white area is kind of down through here. So it's just barely below the eye. That color in his eyes too. Yeah, and I know the orange is kind of bright, but once I add in the brown, it'll look more correct. Then they have the white tip on the tail. I use my brown over top of that. Well, be careful because the black is still wet, so I'm smidging it. Sometimes once I do the grass, I set it aside and finish it later, just because the grass makes such layers of ink that it's hard to not smudge things. But that's okay. This is just an example video. Putting a little bit of brown in the middle of the grasses here. See, I smudged the corner a little bit. I can redo that. You notice that there's some green missing from right there still, so I'm gonna fill that in. Some more green in front of the fox here. Some grasses that didn't quite get done, and I normally wouldn't add anything, but I'm thinking a little bit of yellow here around the edge to blend it into the white. It will look good. So I just use these three colors to color the fox. 947, 933, and 991 Tombow. And I'll set the green aside. And the black, and we're gonna do the sky real quick. I need some blues. So I've got this blue, and I've got this one, which is very similar. This one just fades to a purple pink, whereas this one just goes darker blue. This light blue is a really good sky blue, which is what I've been using, or what I use for the sky in my other scene. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. This is very simple. I want it to look kind of wispy, so I just use my stylus tool. And I started the grasses, typically, and swipe up. And if I want to make a cloud, kind of swipe across and down. Make a cloud. Sometimes looks better to have it coming from an angle. So, like if I have a spot that I want to cover up, then I can do that. And really by the end of this, almost the whole thing is blue. All I'm doing is making sweeping motions to make it look kind of wispy. I swipe it real lightly. I picked up some black. That's okay. If some grays gets in that, that's okay, because the clouds have gray in them. I'm actually going to let this part make it a little more solid over there. Then leave some white areas. And then for this one, I'm gonna quit with the sky. And I'm gonna use, which I forgot to get out, but I'm going to use the hanging leaves from Stampscapes for the trees. Last touch. Okay, and with these I also start with the green. I can start with the black, but because in this scene, well, most things, because the black is in the foreground, I start with the green because it's more towards the back and where the light would be shining through the leaves. So, but that's just how I did it. You could do it either way and still get a very similar result. So I'm going to use the same green that I was using before. Stamp some pretty leaves. You can twist them any which direction. And do ghost prints. You don't have to keep re-inking. Ghost prints are a pretty nice addition as well. This is a big block before it, but it's okay. I don't know where my other one is at the moment. I'm going to use this one a little bit darker as I move to the foreground. I work to get this one a little bit darker. You can bring in the leaves like this. And then I would use the black last. Making sure I'm inking up real good so it comes out real solid. And again, you can still use ghost prints to help your design. I feel like if I need some more, then I just get some more to work with here. And stamp over top. Okay, that's pretty good. Trying to make it, not to make it too uniform, but you know, sometimes I do by accident. I'm gonna stamp into the grasses just a little bit because it adds to it. If it's as low as the grass is, then it's some low-hanging trees, you know. But he's found a nice little cozy spot to hide in. And it frames it nicely. So, actually, I'll fix this real quick. So I'm gonna fix this corner where I touched it and got the black ink off. So, there you go. Hope you like it. I hope that was helpful.